Hey there, Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to my channel. I am bringing you part 2 of my June stamp set of the month for 2019, featuring the Rawrsome stamp set by Lawn Fawn and die set. Part 1, I made this super cute card, this card with volcanoes. And it says, I lava you. If you caught that video, hopefully you left a comment, because everyone who commented will be entered to win this card. And the winner of this card will flash across the screen right now. Congratulations. Please shoot me a message with your contact information and I will get that card out in the mail to you. Also, that means if you comment on today's video, you will be entered to win the creation that I'm making today. Today's card is going to be a Father's Day inspired card with some cute dinosaurs. I love it. So let's get stamping. For today's card, I thought it would be really fun to use a gel press print and this leaf print background. This gel press print was made using liquid color, a brayer, brayered across a gel press. If you're not familiar with that, I will link a video down below for a card I made using this technique, and you can check it out. So I'm using the whole entire sheet of paper, which is 8.5 by 11, and I'm running it through my platinum machine. This is a big machine. It's 8.5 by 11, the plates are, so you can fit a whole piece of cardstock through there, which is fabulous. And this die is 2 pieces, so I didn't have to cut the paper to size before running it through with my die. So that's going to be the front of my card, and I tried it with 2 different colors, and I settled on lemongrass for my card. This is a 4 1/4 by 11 inch piece of paper, scored and folded at 5.5, and then that die cut background fits on perfectly. I'm going to try this E6000 spray adhesive. It's odorless. It's so cool. I sprayed it about 6 times to coat the back of it in a box so I could protect my work area. And then I'm just trying to line this up in the corner so I can stick it on. Sometimes it takes a few times to get it just right. And then when I did, I just pressed it into place. And then to help it take hold, I put a heavy acrylic block on the top to just let it have a minute to do its thing. So we'll set that aside and work on some stamping. So as you know, I'm using the Rawrsome stamp and die set from Lawn Fawn to create this Father's Day card. There is like a parent dinosaur and a baby dinosaur. Like normally you'd think it was a mama and a baby, but today it's a papa and a baby. So I'm stamping those with black licorice ink by Fun Stamper's Journey, and I'm stamping that onto some Bristol smooth paper. So I have these 2 cute dinosaurs on the perfect paper for coloring with my Arteza markers. I'm going to put the colors of the markers up on the screen, so if you have Arteza markers or if you're interested, you can see them there. I like using the Bristol smooth paper because when you're blending out these water-based markers, this paper does an amazing job. If you have tried blending out markers on other paper and you're not satisfied, I strongly encourage you to try the Bristol smooth paper, and you will be really excited with the results that you get. So I started with a dark blue, it's called Blueberry, and then I outlined the dinosaur with that, and then I came in with ice blue to blend that out. So you can see just using this other color of marker, I'm able to blend out what I already colored. So these markers blend with each other. I have the set of 48 markers from Arteza, and I find it to have a really good variety. They also have a larger pack, I believe 96, and they're a very reasonable price point. I will put a link to both in the description below so you can check those out. They also have some other products that I love, colored pencils, watercolors, so yeah, really good stuff over at Arteza. So I am just bending apart my dies and using my wire snips to cut out the dies that I need. Now when snipping off these little tiny bits so you don't hurt yourself, I would recommend cutting them into some type of, this is a baby wipe cloth. I have a ton of baby wipes and paper towels in my garbage all the time, so usually I just put my hand into my garbage can and snip those off, but you really want to be careful because they will fly when you snip them. So protect your eyes and be careful. All right, so I die cut those two cute dinosaurs out, and then I'm checking my background and I see when I sprayed it, I missed this corner. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of glue on there and call it good. Otherwise, it really held on extremely well. All right, so I have a steel rule die here from Fun Stamper's Journey. I believe it's Serif Essentials. I will put that up on the screen for you. And I'm die cutting the word dad. I want to glue my letters together 3 thick, so I cut 3 of the letter D and 3 of the letter A, and then I will go back and cut 3 more D's, and then here you can see I'm going to layer these up. This is Huckleberry Cardstock by Fun Stamper's Journey, just a really nice blue color, and I am gluing them together to make them thicker and more sturdy, and that way they'll stick up off of the front of the card a little bit without me having to use some type of foam adhesive, and I love the way that that works. So we'll go ahead and do the A, gluing those all together. I really like liquid glue for this. Another good way to do it would be with a Xyron sticker maker, or if you like to use adhesive paper, you could put that on the back before you die cut it and then stick these together. Whichever one is your thing. I know some people don't love liquid glue, but it is my thing. I love liquid glue. So then once those are die cut, I just kind of laid out my card to see how I liked it and decided it was time to stamp a sentiment to go with that, because there's lots of cute sentiments in this stamp set, and I felt it was time that I used the Rawrsome word. And so that's what I'm going to do here, and you'll see me try to lay these little tiny stamps out, and it is kind of hilarious. And that last tiny one is actually an exclamation point, and I ended up bagging that all together. You'll see here, but I found that when you're scooting these around, it's best to use your finger and not your fingernail. They stick to my fingernail more than they stick to my finger. So I finally got that where I wanted, and it says your Rawrsome. So I'm using my Misty to stamp this and the magnets to hold my paper down, and then I'm using Tangerine Fusion ink to stamp that, to just pull out some of the orange in my card, those little orange spots on the dinosaur. And so I'll stamp that 2 times to really get it nice and rich in color. And then to add the exclamation point, I decided to do that the old-fashioned way, by hand. So I mounted that little baby tiny stamp onto a small acrylic block, and then I'll use the same color ink to come in and add 3 exclamation points to my sentiment. And I tried to stamp them so they were little wonky, like they're not exactly perfect, and I like the charm of that. And then I decided I needed one more little element. I love these little hearts. I used it last week on my volcano card, but I thought it was also perfect here. So I'm going to use the same 2 colors of orange markers that I used on the spots to color these hearts in. And be careful when you stick your lid on your marker so you don't split the end of your marker, because the tips on these are like a paintbrush. So if you get it caught on that lid, it's going to separate it. So just be careful. Take note of that. All right, so now it's time to stick everything down. I'm starting with my sentiment strip. That way I can use that to line up my die cut letters. So I'll stick that down, trim off the excess, and you'll notice that my front panel hangs off of one side, but when the card is shut, you don't notice it, and I felt the best way to handle it was just to leave it. So once I get those letters all lined up, I'll go ahead and glue those down to my card with some more liquid glue, and they will be nice and straight because I have that sentiment strip there to help guide me. So I just set a heavy block on that to help it stick down, and then adding my dinosaurs, the Papa Dinosaur with some liquid glue, and then the baby I'm going to stick on with some little foam squares. So it looks like it's more in the front, and I'll have him kind of balancing on top of the letter A. And then those cute little hearts I'm going to stick on in between them, right above them. And then to dress that up a little bit, I'm adding some Journey Glaze to the hearts, the spots, and then I'm going to add it to all of the letters. Well, all 3 of the letters. Just coating them to make them nice and shiny. And I love how it turned out. Just helps it really pop right off the page. And then for today's projects, I decided I would make a coordinating gift. So I'm going to be showing you that very next, but here is the finished card. And this coordinating gift starts out with the popcorn box die from Fun Stamper's Journey. Now this die is large, and you should really cut it on a piece of 12 by 12 cardstock, but I don't have that. So I cut my cardstock in half. So I have 2 pieces that are 5.5 by 8.5, and I need to cut 2 of those panels. So I flipped it upside down because I'm not necessarily going to cover all of the die on the, on the edge, but what I need to make sure that I cover right there are the cut lines. The cut lines are set in a little bit from the actual edge of the die, and I was able to do that, and I really just needed 2 panels. So now I'm going to cut the other end and get the other 2 panels, making sure that I'm cutting or covering all those cut edges on the die. And then I'm taping it into place just so that it does not shift when cutting it. And you will need to use that large platinum machine to die cut this. All right, so here are my 2 pieces. Now this piece right here has a flap to adhere the box, so I don't need this partial extra panel. This other piece does not have a flap to adhere it to the other part of the box. So I'm just creating one by cutting only part of that spare panel off, which actually gave me a flap that I can use to adhere these 2 pieces. So I'm going to put my double stick tape onto the flap that the box already had, and then onto the flap that I made. And then I'm going to go in and fold on all the crease lines. Now these lines aren't necessarily creased, they're more perforated, so you don't need like a crease tool when you fold them. Just fold them by hand. All right, so now I put the 2 boxes together with the kind of flap that the box made for me, and then lastly on the flap that I created. Now when we fold this in, fold in the biggest piece, then the 2 sides, and then the opposite end, and this box does not need any glue on the bottom. So there's my popcorn box. Let's go ahead and decorate this. I have the oval left over from the lava card that I made, and I thought that this might look good as a cover piece for this box. Now, as far as the stamping goes, I already had that sentiment on there that said "Your Rawrsome," so I just switched that out and I stamped "Your Dynamite Dad." Now the dad has a comma on it because you could put it at the front of your saying. So when I inked this up, I made sure not to get ink on the comma so my dad could be at the end of my sentiment. And now I'm stamping out the Papa Dinosaur again, and I'm just going to stamp the dinosaur. And when I got ready to color him, I decided it would be fun to reverse this one and make him orange with blue spots. So when I said I'm just stamping the dinosaur, I mean I'm only going to do the Papa Dinosaur, not the baby for this one. So I'm outlining that with the cadmium orange and then blending that in with orange. And then I'm bringing in a third color and blending that to the center. It's the lightest of the 3. It's called Peach. And that is going to give me a really nice 3-toned look. So going from dark to light, and I just love having the different shades. And it's so easy and fast with these markers. And then I'll use the same 2 blues that I used on the previous dinosaur for the spots. And he is so cute. I'm not sure which one I like better. You have to tell me which one you like better in the comments below. The orange dinosaur or the blue dinosaur? And I have to say I was inspired to make blue and orange dinosaurs because of my college team is Boise State Broncos and their colors are blue and orange. So that's how come I have blue and orange dinosaurs. Now I didn't stamp this quite as dark as I wanted, so I thought I would try something that I haven't really done before, and that's to outline my image with a sketch pen. And I have to say I was quite nervous about it, but I did okay. I didn't hate the results, even though I felt like I could do better. So there you go. This pen is actually from the June 2019 sketch box that I tried. If you missed that video, make sure you go back and check it out, because the sketch box is like for people who are artists who draw and paint and things like that. So you'll have to see what I did with the sketch box. Now I'm taking the die that goes with that oval. It's the Modern Frame die set, and I die cut some leaves from my gel press print to go on this little oval that's the focal piece for my box. And I'm just kind of playing with the layout and laying things on there. And then I realized I did not like the orange saying because I had the orange dinosaur. So I restamped the sentiment in blue, that Huckleberry blue that's the same color as my box. And I liked that much better. So now I'm going to go ahead and adhere everything down. I'm using some small foam squares on the sentiment strip so that it sticks up a little bit and kind of I can tuck the other things behind it. So I put 4 of the foam squares on, and then I just brought in my scissors and snipped off the ends. Oh, I realized I needed maybe a couple more on the ends. So I tucked in some more foam squares before cutting off my ends, just at an angle and to give them a little bit of a, I guess, fancy edge. And then I laid out my little branches to kind of figure out where to put them. And I'll glue those down to the tag, tucking them in and around that sentiment strip. And I just love the contrast of the gel press print leaves with the background. It looks very like a tropical rainforest kind of place, like Jurassic Park like, where I picture dinosaurs live. So, and besides this, like, it's a brontosaurus and they're herbivores, so he'd probably eat these leaves. That's what I'm thinking. So I covered him with foam squares so he'll stay on really nice, and then we'll stick him onto our little tag here, and that will go onto the front of the box with some more foam squares. I'm not sure if you can tell, but I did splatter my popcorn box with some electric lime silk. It doesn't show up very much, especially not on camera, a little bit better in person, but just to add a little something to the box. And so if you can see that on the screen, that's what I did. So I'll stick that down, and that is the 2 projects for today. I hope that you've enjoyed them, and if you're new here, I would love for you to subscribe and click the notification bell. I have new videos every week, sometimes a few in one week, and then you'll be notified when I post those. Thank you so much for stopping by. I love sharing my creations with you, and happy stamping. Bye.